And everybody knows.
Yes, yes. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to another Facebook Live. We are back from a hiatus of a couple of weeks here. We let the summertime busyness allow us to pull us towards our families and some personal development work and everything else. But we're excited to be back here again talking about another topic. Nima, it's good to see you as always.
Dude, I missed you, man. I missed this. I missed the conversations, and we talk about these relevant things, just you and I, but, just the nature of our egos, we like to have a little bit of an audience too. So, hey, I missed that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and sorry, go ahead, Nima. What were you gonna say?
I was just going to say, how do you like my new glasses? These,
Oh, it's good. I meant to ask you the last couple of days where you got those suckers because I need to get some too. We spent so much time staring at these screens.
Yeah. Well, those of you guys who are watching right now, you're watching on a device, right? So we have the screen. These are the blue blockers, and it's so interesting. I put it up on my Facebook profile. Hey guys, can you guys recommend like some good blue blockers for this for me? And then I had people commenting, and then sure enough, I had the Facebook ads just coming in, giving me suggestions. So I bought one off the internet, and I got them. They're the Swanwick.
Oh, Swannies. Yeah, nice.
Swannies. You can you can test the design and all that stuff, and they're great. I don't wear sunglasses anymore. I wear them when I'm out in the sun or at nighttime. So, and
Nice.
especially in front of a screen, it's been really helpful just to soften things up for me.
Yeah. Time to invest for me. I need the glasses and then I need the wireless headset as well. These wires are getting caught on way too many door frames
Yeah.
when you're on the move all the time.
And you'll always be you're always going to be recharging them.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
how's
yeah.
everybody doing? Where's everybody tuning in from? Where I'd like to know the location, so I have an idea around the world where people are listening from. Parash Jagi, that sounds like a Persian name. Definitely.
Yeah, please do chime in if you're watching this live right now. Let us know where you are located. If you're watching on the replay, or even if you're here live, like it, share it, comment with us, engage with us. These are meant to be conversations, right? So we don't have anything scripted here. We do everything based on what's coming up for us right now, knowing that other people are likely going through the same challenges and struggles and frustrations and everything else that goes with being an entrepreneur. So we're here to support you.
Dominicano. Hola. I'm a big fan of bachata. I'm a bachatero. Pedro, I dance bachata like crazy. I love it. So I love being in the Dominican. It's good to see you, buddy. Good to have you here.
Yeah, go check out Nima's personal Facebook page. You'll see some of that from within the last couple of weeks. Apparently, you can dance this in the streets of Victoria on a regular basis. That was something else, what you found there.
Vancouver, everywhere. Yeah. West coast of Canada. Hey, Rick, we're in the west side too. We're both in Vancouver. I'm downtown here in Yaletown, and Trevor right now is in Burnaby. So,
yeah. All right. So, yeah, keep the comments coming, guys. Let us know where you're watching from. Let us know if you can relate to this topic as well. So I'm just going to take a look really quickly just to remind myself all of the stuff that I wrote on here, because I wrote a big, long post about this.
Is it too late? Is it too late to go on your entrepreneurial dream? Are you a wash up? Is it like something that you just got to forget, pack it up, and put your dreams aside? We have some things to share about that, and I'd love to. Yay, Victoria, one of my favorite cities on the planet. Victoria, Linda, I just love it. It's just there for a couple weeks.
Yeah,
in a nutshell.
I just got off phone with Linda on a side note, Nima. She's my photographer, and we were just mapping out some really cool ideas for photo shoots and stuff too. I should connect you to her because I know you're going to need to do that as well.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
In a nutshell, let's just sum this whole answer of this question up. In a nutshell, it's never too late because time doesn't exist. And we'll talk about that. I had some ideas of talking about that. But many of us have this concept of, you know what, I have this dream, I have this vision, but, I'm 45 years old, or I'm 38, I have this career, or I have a wife and kids now, or I have, a family. And the answer is, time does not exist. If you have found your dharma, which is like a sacred duty, there's a burning desire, there's a need that you have to solve a specific problem. That's what entrepreneurship is about. The answer is always to check in and see what your motive is. I know you have some stuff to share about that, but I'd like to continue that discussion. Go for it, Trav.
Yeah, absolutely. And I want to dive into some of the, like, how to search for those answers and how to dive a little deeper into whether or not it is the right decision to, like, follow your entrepreneurial dreams. But so the reason why this topic came up, and as always, we base all what we're going to talk about based on what's coming up in our lives. And I had a friend reach out to me who was a guy that I worked with, geez, it was almost 15 years ago now. And we both were down the same path. We were in sales jobs. We were, slugging it out. We were both quite successful at it too. And I lasted about, I think, like 2.5, maybe 3 years in that job before my good friend Mike, who of course Nima, gave me a couple of books. Number one, it was the 4-Hour Workweek, Tim Ferriss, and then the E-Myth by Michael Gerber. And those two books just kind of like unlocked something for me where I was like, I don't think I can work for other people anymore. But then it was, well, what do I do now? And Mike planted the seed in my head of like, well, why don't you check out this internet stuff? Because it's actually going to be kind of a big deal. And I took a leap, and this was at a time that I was about, what would that be, 15 years ago. So I was like 27, 28 years old. And so it wasn't a huge risk to just, dive in. But at the time, it still felt like a big risk, right? Like I invested like $30,000 to start that business. I had a wife. It caused all kinds of problems and challenges in our relationship around conversations around money and time and everything else. And ultimately, that business failed. We did sell it, but I would not say that we were super successful with it. But it started me down this journey. And he reached out the other day because he's seen what we've been doing, Nima, with all these conversations around entrepreneurial mindset and everything else. And he said that he felt compelled to reach out, number one, just to touch base and say that he's inspired by seeing, what I'm doing here right now. But he also said that he has this desire inside of himself to quit his job and follow his own dream, but he feels like it might be too late. So he's like mid-40s. He's got 2 kids and a wife. He's got bills to pay. He's, obviously not overly happy with what he's doing in his work, but he's feeling this like pressure to say that he maybe is too late to actually do it. And I gave him some feedback, but I'd like maybe to just riff the two of us on that with regards to, some of the things that a person can do to really start to dig into that and those feelings that you have. And the first thing that came up to me, Nima, was the idea of doing the values exercise, the personal values exercise. And this is something that we spoke about a month ago. And if you guys want to search back into the video history of these, or we can link it up in here later, it's basically an exercise to walk through and answer like 10 questions that really dig into, if you could do anything in this world, if you could only do one thing in this world, what would that be? Something that makes your heart sing. And what were some of the other questions?
This is really to extract what your superpowers are, Trevor. It's like when your values are your unconscious motives of life. They're a hierarchy that we have, whether we're conscious or consciously aware of it or not, that are basically driving our behavior. And when we live our lives in alignment with those values, magical things start to happen. And when we are unconscious of what those values are, and we don't put schedule priority tasks in our day that are not in alignment with those values, we feel stressed, we feel depressed, we feel anxious, we feel like we're not living our dharma, which is sacred duty. We're not living it. And so these questions are where does time stand still for you? What do you love to talk about? What do you spend your money on? What would you love to read 500 books about? So when you really extract what these are, you now have the first, the top few of your values. Your purpose is embedded in them. That's what our purpose is. And so for me, it's about learning and teaching. I'm always learning. I'm always teaching. I love learning and teaching. That's just my thing. And healing, which kind of goes in towards healing because of my background as a chiropractor. Doctor actually means teacher. So because I know what my values are, I can then schedule tasks and strategically game plan my life around those values. If I don't know what those values are, I then look outside to other people and then I inject their values onto mine and I beat myself up for not living a life that's not theirs. So it's really important to start there. And it might be that your highest values right now could be your family, right? And if you look, you'll see that the job that you have, the income that you have, suits that perfectly well. And you could have been looking at Trevor, that guy could have been looking at you, injecting your values onto his and then beating himself up, when if he just takes part in the exercise, he'll stop and go, you know what? I'm actually good doing what I'm doing. You know, I have my job. It pays this much. We have our 2 vacations a year. The kids get, you know, they get all their summer camp. They get hockey paid for, and it just suits us just fine. Yeah. My wife has her job. My husband has his job. Whatever it is that you got to make sure that actually it's true for you. And the entrepreneurial journey, it's not easy. It's very difficult. There's a lot of suffering involved. Like I've had to go down this path against the best wishes of those closest around me. And I'm going to share with you, what I wanted to do was share with you the 7 primary fears that we have that stop us from following our path. Are you ready for that? And you can kind of make a note of them.
Yeah, for sure. So let's do it. I'll type them in.
Cool. You can type it in. Let's say you're sitting here and you're like, all right, I don't know what I want to do with my life. The truth of the matter is, I don't know if I want to go for it or not. The truth is, if you were truthfully honest about it, you do know. You do know. But there are 7 fears or that we use as excuses for not moving forward towards it. Okay? The first one is in the realm of the spiritual realm. I'd love to follow my entrepreneurial journey. However, I'm afraid of losing favor based on a spiritual authority that I've given that authority to. So my church wouldn't, you know, like for example, I was raised in the Baha'i faith. Let's say I watch the movie Cocktail with Tom Cruise and I'm like, wow, I want to be one of those bartenders that flip those bottles and just, you know, I want to do that. I'm inspired by that. It's something that I really like. There's entertainment, there's serving people a good time. It just suits my values. But I can't because I will be excommunicated from my religion. There's a fear of a spiritual authority that's blocking me. So that's the first fear that's stopping you. So it might not relate to you, but that is very real for a lot of people. What would the church say? That kind of thing. What would God say?
I tried to sum it up with that little sentence there. Hopefully that's
well done. Well done. Number 2, the fear of not being intelligent enough, educated enough. So in the mental realm, or smart enough, not smart or educated enough. So it's in the mental realm. Fear of not being smart enough or not having the education or the credentials. Now, I am a chiropractor, and now I have shifted my focus. I do chiropractic only just part-time for fun. I see a few patients a week because I love being out of the, out of the house, off of my laptop and having my hands on people, because deep down I'm a healer. And when I went into coaching and into mindset and helping people with their trauma, the main concern that I had that was partially blocking me was, wait, I don't have the credentials. I'm not, I don't have a psychology degree. I'm not a psychologist or a psychiatrist. What right do I have talking about anxiety and all of that stuff? So not being educated enough, not being smart enough, not being credentialed, that's one of the fears that block us from moving forward. Fear number 3 is in the realm of our career. It's a fear of failure. What if I fail? What if I go off and try this entrepreneurial thing and then it doesn't, and I invest all this money and it doesn't work? Fear of failure. Now, what do we know about failure? How many times have you tried something, Trevor, and then it didn't work?
So, more times than it has actually worked.
Exactly. So if you're watching this, let me put you at ease. You will fail. Failure is it's not a probability. It's an inevitability. You'll fail in many different things. In fact, the whole game of entrepreneurship is about creation, is about creativity. Creation basically means taking a risk, trying it on, and then looking back and seeing what the feedback was. Ooh, shit, that didn't work. We tried that, we tested that, and it was a colossal failure. We tested this webinar, and it was none. There was 500 people on it and not one sale. Okay, we can consider that a failure. So what do you do? Do you just kind of pack it in, or do you go back to the drawing board and do you use that as feedback so that you can refine? That's the difference. So people who don't start or they don't pursue their dream, or they think that it's too late is because it's a fear of failure. Let me put everyone at ease. There's massive failure on this path. It's just, that's not the point. It's not about the success. It's about the journey. It's about the fact that I get to create. It's more important to me that I have a say in what the creativity that I put out in the universe than it is for me to sit there and have somebody say, all right, so get me these TPS reports on my desk by Monday morning. And no, you can't have that vacation in June like you requested. And no, you can't go to the bathroom until so-and-so time. So that's kind of the difference, is I will risk failure, many failures for the freedom to be able to do that. Can you relate to that, Trevor?
Oh yeah, and there's two things that come to mind that helped me overcome that fear of failure myself too. There's a number of things, but a couple is just feedback and advice that I've got from people to say, like, fail fast, don't judge yourself. Don't second guess. Don't contemplate forever. Just do, and fail fast. And that's actually a really good piece of advice for people in an entrepreneurial space. And then the other one is that, using a sports reference, they always refer to the idea that if you hit 300, meaning you only hit 3 out of every 10 at bats, you're in the Hall of Fame. If you do that during your career, you
fail 7 times.
Yeah, you fail 7 times and you succeed 3
out of 10. Yeah. So go figure that, right? So I'm so afraid, but what if I fail? What if I fail? And the thing is what's interesting is my parents are not entrepreneurs. My dad's an engineer. He's in that, so he has seen my journey of many successes and a few big colossal failures, namely one of them being, in my marriage, and a couple of things in my career. And he loves to, like, when we get into arguments, he loves to remind me. So the work that I've been doing when I get triggered, has been to go inside and appreciate that little boy who feels, rejected from his father, who calls out his failures, and go, no, I'm so grateful. I love that part of me who took the risk, and I'm so grateful for that. And I'm kind of reparenting that part of myself. That's kind of my next level of growth. And then what I'm teaching, because I'm learning it and then I teach it to all the people in my program, is that reparenting element of when others close to you are pointing fingers, calling out failure, you look in and go, no, I love myself for every freaking thing that I've attempted. And that's been key for my mindset. So that stops a lot of people. And the next fear or excuse that people have is, I don't have the money. What if I lose money? That kind of thing. And the answer to that, basically, that I've observed, is that whenever there's a will, there's a way. We get resourceful. You have been resourcefully coming up with material means to be able to carry forward whatever desire that you have. And you don't have to have a lot of money. You just, if you have the right guidance, you have the right guide, you can move things forward and keep moving the needle forward. I just remember there was a moment just recently where I was like, oof, I don't know if I could do this. I know I need the help with this. I don't know if I could do this, but okay, I'm going to take that. It's a scary leap. It's like, I'm going to step into the fear because my vision is that important. It's a sacred duty. I'm going to do this. And I stepped forward in it, and I made an investment to hire somebody that I did perceive that I couldn't afford. And then literally that night, I got a new client that more than covered it. And I truly believe that the money came as it's kind of like the universe is testing your will, testing you, going, and I know that sounds hokey, but it's testing your resolve and going, how bad do you want this, Nima? How bad is it? Are you willing to take a leap of faith and like absolute unwavering faith and hard ass work? So, and I am, so I believe that that's when it came. So the fear of losing money is a fear of losing money and not having money. Yeah. Number 5,
real quick, Nima, I just want to make a point on that too, because I was asked by this friend of mine, if I was to do it over again, what would I do differently? One of the major things to me would be to invest in mentorship. And when I say that, a lot of times people, they kind of go, well, yeah, but I need something substantial, not just a bunch of advice, right? But in today's world, with the digital world that we live in and testimonials and social proof and all this kind of stuff, like 10 years ago when you invested in mentorship, you did it on a leap of faith a lot of times based on maybe one person's recommendation. But now, like, you can join a mentorship, a coaching program with somebody where there's a history and an online record of like who that person is, what their values are, what kind of results they've got, who else is a part of that. Like, you can see the community you're going to join. So the perceived risk in today's world is so much less, right? And it makes it easier to dive into that space without the fear of losing the money.
People can go on my Facebook page, Nima Ramani, and just go and look up reviews. And I'm just like, oh, geez, because of that, I got to show up full on, right? It's like 100%. I can't afford to give anybody anything less than my absolute best. That's all I can give, right? So which one, where were we?
Number 5.
Number 5. Okay, Brett. Hey, thanks, Brett. Thanks for the comment. Number 5 is the fear of losing favor with socially. In other words, I want to follow my entrepreneurial dream, but everyone's telling me I'm too fucking old. Excuse me, I can't say that because you want to put it out there and Facebook. Facebook.
That's
okay, edit that out. Next, but I'm too old. People say I'm too old. People say, what are people going to think? They think I'm crazy. When I told my parents, when I told my friends that I wanted to leave my 6-figure chiropractic practice, and it was 6 figures, and it was me just working 2.5 days a week. I had my associates working. It was earning a lot of money. I was working 2.5 days a week, and I was just like, it was just not that fulfilling for me. And when I told them, they're like, you're crazy. Just keep that going and then, build that thing on the side. And I was like, no, I got to do this full time. It's all in or none. All in or none. Yeah. And I had to put up with some social ridicule. Or how about this? You're a doctor. What are you going to be, one of those life coaches online? There's a million, what are you, a life coach? You've just scaled down. You went from a doctor, you went down to life coach. Like, what are you doing? And I'm just like, no, I'm not a life coach. I'm actually a teacher. I'm a teacher. I believe that people coming in with stress-related disorders and just dealing with their structurally with their chiropractic adjustments and their nervous system, it's not enough. We got to get in and change the story. And I truly believed in that. And so if you are so based on external approval, then you're going to try to convince yourself that you do not know what you want. Truth is, you know what you want to do. You're just afraid of social judgment. Yeah. Rejection. The next one is fear of number 6. Are we number 6?
Number 6.
Fear of its family. Fear of rejection, judgment, criticism from family members. So this is mom and dad. So this has been my story all along. Is I've always lived, and by the way, I just discovered this. I'm 42, kind of embarrassed to say I'm 42, and I literally just discovered the resolution of this year after my last real big failure, where I just discovered that I'd been living my life like I have something to prove to my dad. That I want to prove, I want to go on this entrepreneurial journey, leave my comfortable, cushy job that I just knew I can do from, easily with one hand tied behind my back, which is to be a chiropractor and help people, which I love helping people. I hungered for more. When I went into this realm and I built my coaching business and I did 7 figures in 13 months, I was like, yeah, I finally can prove to my dad that I'm worthy, you know, but I was doing this unconsciously. And when you do something for an egoic reason, it's not sustainable. You're pushing a boulder up a hill. You're doing it for something that's not internally driven. And when I had my last kind of fall from grace, hubris, what ended up happening was I went through a whole bunch of inner work, and I realized, holy crap, I've been doing it like I have something to prove. So doing the work on healing that, and I finally believe I've gotten to the place where I now have this true calling. It's a calling, and it comes from it's sacred duty. That, yeah, Dad, I get it. You want me to go back into chiropractic and do this full time. And my parents, I know you want me to just kind of like, just go back and do what's comfortable. But holy crap, I overcame and I transcended, just very recently transcended the subordination of that approval. And it was a very powerful moment for me. It was kind of like Luke Skywalker defeating Darth Vader. And many people who call and reach out, they have a desire that they want to do something, but they're afraid of what their parents or what their dad is going to say, or my mom says I should do this or that. And that's normal. And the answer to that is, of course they should say that. Of course they should do that, because that's their job. Their job is to project their values onto you, as any parent projects their values onto the kid. And it's a way of the universe testing your resolve and saying, okay, how bad do you want it, Trevor? Nima, how bad do you want it?
Yeah. And the other side of this too is if you talk about like a spouse or a partner, we've had a lot of people join our mentorship program, for example, and they fill out an onboarding form. And I see language in there that says something to the effect of like, I need to make this work. Otherwise, my wife is going to be all over me about losing money and about, just another investment that didn't work, right? And that's somebody else's fear being projected onto that person, but it can also be used as a driver. And I know you and I have talked about this lots before too, like whatever things, and for those of you that have watched our Facebook Lives before, you know that I brought up a lot of my personal stuff and the challenges that I've gone through in relationships and all that. And, there's no doubt that my wife pushes me. And if she didn't, I would not be here. And there's times when it drives me crazy, but it is part of the thing that actually pushes me forward. So that bit of fear sometimes it can be your advantage too, if you know how.
That's what your job is for Charm as well. You push her buttons too. That's what you guys are, button pushers, to get you to kind of
level up,
look within and level up. And she's done a fabulous job, and I applaud her for it.
Yeah, me too. No, and I have to acknowledge her and appreciate her for that. Like she pushes me. But she pushes me because she sees a greater version all the time. Even when I hit that next level, it's like, all right, now what? You still got more. You still got more to do,
Beautiful. And the last fear, the last excuse is fear of it's a physical one. Fear of being too old, too fat, too, not tall enough. I'd like to go in the NBA. I'm not tall enough, but I mean, every single story, there are examples of people who just didn't listen. I'd love to go dancing, but I'm 40 and I don't want to start, I can't dance anymore. So that fear of being too old, fear of not being smart enough. Now, watch what happens. If you take two or three of these 7 fears and you add them together, you're going to actually, and you have them, you're going to actually convince yourself that you don't know what you want to do with your life. But there's a price. The question you want to ask is, what price am I willing to pay in order to be doing what I absolutely love? And so that's the question you got to answer, and it's all in alignment with your values.
Yep, it is. Absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot of pieces to it for sure, but it's another, solidifying point as to why I really advocate for mentorship and coaching, not just around the technicalities and tactics and tools around business, like how to build your business, but also the part that is glaringly obvious, that is the most important part about successful entrepreneurs, and that's mindset. If you can't get okay with the idea of uncertainty and, without knowing what the outcome is going to be, then you will set yourself up for a constant, stress on your body, which of course is a lot of everything else that you talk about, Nima, with regards to the nervous system and just how that affects everything, because then that ends up resonating and spilling into your family life. And now you're stressed out at home, and now you're not sleeping. And
you're like, what is this entrepreneurial dream for me? See, here's the thing. Here's my suggestion is do not take on any endeavor of entrepreneurialism, of entrepreneurship, without first learning how to regulate your nervous system and how to be with yourself and change your relationship to physical and emotional pain, because you're going to have to get very, very acquainted with it. That's just basically it. And regulating my own nervous system has become my full-time job, because if I don't take the time to learn how to do that and to do that, then any relationship I have with others is destroyed. And that's what entrepreneurship is business is based on relationships. So at the end of the day, this all comes down to your relationship with yourself. Am I too old? The question is, according to who? Time is an illusion. We look at other people, we compare, and then we go, well, it's too late for me. Well, I mean, it's the journey that I'm loving right now. Right now, I'm in the process with you guys, with Trevor and the team and everybody, of creating and rolling out my next big offer to the universe. And it's scary. And I wonder, sometimes, should I just go back into chiropractic? I wonder, do I have it in me? I do get anxious thoughts. I do have sleepless nights. I do freak out sometimes. And the question, at the end of the day is, what would I rather be doing? How important is it for me to focus? How important is it for me to get my offering to the universe, to get my deepest heart, my offering to the universe? And when I start focusing on the problem that I know how to help solve, which is transitional anxiety, within a relationship crisis, and which is basically a personal crisis. It's an identity crisis. Should I stay? Should I go? This crisis in a relationship, from infidelity, abuse, trauma, whatever it is, that's my jam. And I think about it, I go, okay, so I could go back into chiropractic full time, and I know that, but what about the people that I have a responsibility for? Because I've gone through some major crap in my life, and I've come through on the other side. And what happens, it's kind of like the hero's journey is a cycle where you have a death of ego. Like who I was earlier this year is not who I am today. There's been a death of that old version of me, and there's been a resurrection. And I've resurrected with some new tools. And I feel it's like a responsibility that I have to take that elixir, the answer, the elixir, the last kind of step in the hero's journey after I've defeated my Darth Vader, which is totally in alignment with Joseph Campbell's stuff. It's a sacred duty and a responsibility. So Are you too old for it? Well, it depends. Like, is it a responsibility, or are you just trying to make extra cash? Well, if it's just about the money, it's not a sacred duty.
Yeah.
Because I know something about you, Trevor. What I know about you is you're dedicated to your own growth and learning. And also, you're a kind of guy where you really want to help other entrepreneurs build their dream from a place of, I'm not sure if I want to do this, or I don't know if I have it in me, because you know what it's like to be in that situation. And then you know what it's like to have the freedom of owning your time, owning your life. Even though it's a challenge, you're willing to pursue that dream in yourself, so you know what it's like, and so you feel it's your duty to help others, and you're very dedicated to that.
Yeah, I'm motivated by it. It's something that gives me fulfillment in life, which is why, we started this talk off, Nima, about defining your personal values and doing it without judgment too. That's a key point of all of this. I remember when I first did it with you, you kept repeating as we were filling stuff out. You're like, don't judge yourself. Just write down what you truly value, you know?
True.
And for me, it was, it was career. It was my business, my calling and what I'm doing, and family. And then I found that like career and teaching was actually a little bit above family. And I immediately,
and then there was a feeling of shame that came along with that.
Totally. Yeah, absolutely. And I know that this friend that's reaching out to me might be feeling the same thing too. What if he takes that leap of faith and does something that is just eating inside of him, like he feels like he needs to do this? Is he selfish for doing that because it's going to take time away from the family? But the alternative, the duality side of that, of course, is that if he doesn't do that, is he being the fullest version of himself that he can be, so that his kids look at him and go, yeah, I'm going to be like dad. If I have a dream, I'm not going to go, it's too late, And then this is where it always reminds me of the hero's journey in movies and all that kind of stuff, because we get inspired by people that take leaps of faith where you think that it's over. They're never going to prevail. They're never going to slay the dragon, right? But when they do, you feel this euphoria for them, right? But the idea of doing it for ourselves sometimes seems overwhelming, and we just don't take the leap. So it's not an easy thing to do by any means, but that's the thing that drives me is, I look at my kids and I think I want them to look at me and be proud and be able to make decisions.
All entirely based on your values. And if, like, I know a friend of mine, he would never leave his job and become an entrepreneur. He just works for the government. He gets his, he pays his mortgage. His life is his 2 kids. And for him to get, off of that and then go start building something, that would just be a nightmare for him. He would just look for another job. So it's not for everybody. You have to have that little calling. And here's a good indicator. You got to sit down and ask yourself, this thing that you want to create, what kind of a problem does it solve for people, and how important is it for you to be doing that? How important is it? What are you willing to give up in order to get yourself to the point where you can solve these problems for people?
Yeah. Yeah. And then the last thing that I'll mention on this too, because I had it circled right here because it was something that I mentioned to this friend of mine as well, Nima, was I mentioned to him, like, I'm all about the hustle for sure. I've hustled, as Gary Vaynerchuk refers to it as, all the time, right? So you work the day job, you come home, you kiss the baby, you put him to sleep, and then you get to work from 7 until 2 in the morning. But I would say that my mindset on that has changed quite a bit recently, just because of what you said earlier, which is like, if you're going to go all in on something, go all in. By working the job, spending a little bit amount of time with your family, and then putting that hustle work in, for me, it doesn't align with that second value of mine, which is family. So if my family is going to suffer that much because I'm trying to balance 2 things as opposed to just going all in on one thing and still having the time to be with my family, then I would take that latter one, right? So the idea of working 18-hour days, I don't recommend that to people. I really don't. It's like, if you believe that this is something deep down inside you need to do, then believe in it and take the leap and do it, and find mentors and people that can help you align your mindset and give you the path to get you to where you want to be.
I love it.
So on that note,
I love it. So on that, I just love I love what you're creating, and I'm grateful to be a part of it. And I love the fact that I can come in to the office and work with you guys, and to be part of the ESM crew for helping your clients with their mindset. I have to say, when I was in that space of just kind of like, when in doubt, and I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, I looked at my values and I said, teaching is one of my values. And when you showed up and you asked, would you like to be part of this? I'm like, yes, because I knew that it was 100% in alignment. And there were many times during a difficult period of transition, of unknown and uncertainty, that was kind of like my North Star. And I want to thank you for, providing that opportunity. And then this is what we started. So it's been really cool.
Absolutely. All right. Thanks everybody for being here. Those of you that are watching, those of you that commented, everybody watching on the replay, like this, share this, comment on it. we'll be back again next week, and stay tuned as well. We got some really cool stuff coming up in the next couple of months that Nima and I are doing together as well. That's going to really be helping people in this area too. So nothing to really announce right now, but more to come soon. I'll talk to you guys later.